What's up, guys? Welcome to Newswave. Now, there's a lot of stuff to talk about today, but first I wanted to let you guys know, if you do want to discuss anything we talk about today, head on over to the subreddit and check it out. It's just reddit.com/r/spawnwave, and with that, guys, let's get started. So we talked about how Minecraft was kind of shown off anyway on a live stream that was done, obviously, by Microsoft's subdivisions, and they talked about how Minecraft on the Switch would support a lot of features that we do see on the PS4 and the Xbox One, with a smaller world size overall, nothing too crazy. It's just smaller, that's all. But overall, we'll still have 60 frames per second, split screen and everything. Well, this time, we finally get direct feed footage. Yay, they figured out how to make their streaming box work. Anyway, we do get direct footage of it, and it looks good. I mean, they did full split screen. One person used the Joy-Cons, the other person used the Pro Controller, and it looked great. It played well. Overall, I do think Minecraft on the Switch is going to be a good version of it, especially with the co-op features, tabletop mode, handheld, all of that good stuff. But I do think we will have a good selling game on the system. Of course, it'll come down to price as well, considering it is generally $20 on either the PS4 or the Xbox One. Hopefully the Switch version comes out. It is well enough price. Nothing too crazy, I would expect. Hopefully not above $20, but you never know. Either way, if you're a fan of Minecraft, you have a Switch, you want to get it on there, rest assured it looks very, very good. It looks like it's going to be a very good version of Minecraft to own and play with others while you're on the go. And this next bit of news is awesome. So we've talked about, obviously, how when they were making Zelda Breath of the Wild, they were using almost a 2D 8-bit version to prototype all of their ideas to make it a little easier and understand, and then kind of transfer it over to the 3D world of Breath of the Wild that they were developing for the Switch and the Wii U. And we all thought it looked awesome. Remember, there was that whole GDC thing, they showed it off. Looked so cool. I think most of us actually wanted to play it, right? I mean, everyone just kind of wanted to pick up a controller and try it out, especially when they started shifting around to show you that it's kind of 3D as well. Well, it looks like somebody decided, hey, it would be cool if we could play that. And a programmer by the name of Winter Drake took to it and designed an entire game called Breath of the NES. And what it's going to attempt to do anyway, as best as possible, is kind of mirror that same experience that you had where it was like a top-down look like the NES version, but it still has like newer mechanics that you would find in Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's not going to look exactly the same, obviously. It's not going to look anywhere near it. Actually, it's going to be in the NES 8-bit visuals, much like we saw with that prototype on stage at GDC. Now, they have also said they will take some liberties with the game. It's not going to be exactly like Zelda Breath of the Wild at all. In fact, it's going to be kind of a new game you could play, but with the same vein that they had at the GDC prototyping that they showed off, so you can kind of play through it and enjoy it. Now, it's in its very early stages right now. I believe they are up to version 1.3. It runs fine on Windows. You download it as an EXE that you then launch and just kind of get dropped into the world and play. But man, it's so cool to see this. Now, here is my concern for this game, and I think a lot of people right now are thinking the same thing. It's only a matter of time until this gets cease and desisted, right? It gets cut down by Nintendo because, again, it is their prerogative since their intellectual properties are being used here. I don't think any of us want to see it happen, but most of us know in our minds right now that it's going to happen. And it's not even because someone like me or other YouTubers would talk about this. It's on Kotaku right now. Like, that is where Nintendo would probably see it, if anywhere. They even did a full interview with Kotaku talking about what their plans were for the game, including adding more stuff to it and really continuing its progress going forward. Now, it doesn't cost any money. It's free. You can go download it like right now if you want. It doesn't cost any money. And all they ask for like donations and crowdfunding stuff to keep it going, which isn't a bad idea. I'm a little concerned right now. Others seem to be kind of showing this same concern about the possibility of a cease and desist. However, Winter Drake seems fine in the face of what will probably be a cease and desist order soon, and they just say, hey, we're going to continue working on it. You know, I'm going to keep working on this and trying to get it as done as I can before they try to do that, and then maybe I'll just leave the game out there for a little while for people to, you know, download and share if they'd like, and then I'll pull it down. So go ahead and download it while you can if you want to try it out. I wouldn't expect it to be around for very long. Nintendo is very quick, as people like to call them, Nintendo ninjas. They are very quick to knock these things down and really get them off the internet for anyone who's going to download for free, because again, it is their property. They have the right to do that. Let me ask you a question. Have you played Animal Crossing? I have to imagine most of you guys have. Most of us probably have at some point, especially if we grew up with anything around the GameCube time. Maybe you had systems then and you were really big into it. Maybe you missed the GameCube era and you're a little younger and you got in with the 360. Well, Animal Crossing is very popular on the GameCube still. In fact, people are still doing things like speedruns, and very recently, someone has done a speedrun on the game that left even me impressed. So the rules of Animal Crossing speedrunning, they're simple. You have to pretty much do everything you could think of. This includes collecting every item, finding all fish, fossils, bugs, I mean, everything you think of, upgrading your house, upgrading the Tom Nook's shop, and just basically doing everything you can in that game that includes collecting or upgrading, you have to do, and you have to do it quickly, obviously, because you're trying to move through the game as fast as you can. Well, a user managed to do this in 22 hours. Now, there's also a version of speedrunning where it's basically called pay off all debts, which of course means you have to pay Tom Nook back as much as you can before he breaks your leg with a baseball bat, because he's known to do that. But overall, this is very impressive. One, they had to figure out a lot of tricks to make this work, considering the previous speedrunning record was 70 hours. That also might be because most people don't want to do this version of the speedrun. They want to do the pay off all debts, which takes about 40 minutes right now. And I understand why, because 22 hours is a long time as it is, let alone 70 hours. That was probably very intimidating for people to even try. But in this case, 22 hours, less than a day, all of Animal Crossing, something that I spent way too long on when I was a kid, although it was a lot of fun, is ridiculously impressive. And apparently the whole run is up on their Twitch channel right now. This is Cold Eggman, so go check it out. If you're even curious how they would have done this, you could probably obviously skip through it. You're probably not gonna sit there for 22 hours and watch it, but very impressive nonetheless. It shows a lot of perseverance on some gamers' part. And today we got an update for Bayonetta on the PC from Sega and Platinum Games. And not the typical update, I will say that. It seems to be an update that is, again, hinting at something. Of course, Bayonetta was kind of like a very cryptic hint where they hid some stuff in like Steam achievements to figure out a date, to go look at a website that shows a countdown timer that then tells us that Bayonetta is coming out. But now we have a new update that shows us a very interesting picture being added to Bayonetta. Now, the update was not big at all. It was 22 kilobytes, and it was kind of tucked away, if you would, and there's an extras menu in Bayonetta. And it's interesting. What it does is it adds like an avatar, or a picture, if you will, of Vanquish's protagonist, Sam Gideon. So what does that mean? That means Vanquish might be on the way. Not only that, just to make note here, that is the only non-Bayonetta avatar from the Bayonetta universe that is in the game right now. So to me, this is Sega saying, hey, look over here, over here. You see this? Yeah, Vanquish is coming. Which is a big deal, because a lot of people did play it on the PS3, for example, but it wasn't the best version of the game, if you want to say that. There were a lot of technical issues. You could look at that and say, man, that's great, but wouldn't it be awesome if it was really running behind a very beefy video card and just being pushed along something like 4K, or just 60 frames in general all the way around with no stuttering? And it looks like that's what's happening. I have to imagine they were already planning this. They were probably going to release, Bayonetta and then Vanquish and maybe something else as they went along. Just a big movement of ports to the PC, maybe licensing issues, or the team decided, hey, let's do this because people on Steam will buy these games. Obviously, Bayonetta is showing that in spades right now. So I think this is a calculated movement well before Bayonetta was even coming to the system, Steam, I should say, coming to Steam well before its release date. So I don't think they just randomly decided this now. I think it's been happening, and just adding this in with their little cryptic messages. I like the way they're doing this. It's kind of cool. It kind of makes people very happy and hyped up that they are discovering these things, ahead of time. So good on Sega and Platinum Games. I do look forward to Vanquish coming out. That's another one I will probably pick up on the PC, just to kind of relive what I did on the PS3. Now, this next bit of news kind of had fans of Kingdom Hearts freaking out big time right now, because I think a lot of us want Kingdom Hearts out now. Actually, we want it out yesterday, right? Because it's just taking forever for this game to get out. Let me put this in perspective for you. Kingdom Hearts 2, which is obviously the predecessor to what will be 3, came out when the 360 came out. It came in 2005. I think a month after the 360 came out, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. So that's how long we've been waiting for a sequel to this game. We've had console generations come and go while this game's in development, or at least thought of, because of course they're thinking of it as soon as 2 comes out. So not only are obviously tempers heightened at this point, but people want this game so badly that they are losing their minds when Square releases an image that appears to show, at this point, again appears to show Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out in fiscal year 2018. I should say it says fiscal year 2018 and beyond, but still, this has people really losing it, because everyone, I think, wants to see it now. They want to see it this year, this Christmas even. This or Final Fantasy VII, both of which show up on that same side of the chart. However, I think people are losing their mind a little too soon, because it says fiscal year 2018. right? It does not say 2018. What fiscal year means is right now. Technically, this means that it come out right now because fiscal year 2017 ended March 31st, which means right now, we are in fiscal year 2018. So people need to stop freaking out for a second and just let's get through E3 because I think at this point we have to have some sort of Kingdom Hearts 3 news. I think it would be the biggest shock in the world not to get any Kingdom Hearts 3 news at E3. It's also worth mentioning that Dragon Quest XI is on that same side. Remember, that's out in July, so it all makes sense here. Don't let this chart deceive you like it has several people on the forums that are kind of jumping to conclusions. I did see a few people finally make some sense online after kind of reviewing it and researching it. I noticed fiscal year 2018 very quickly and realized that doesn't actually mean 2018. So no, Kingdom Hearts 3 still has a chance to come out this year. Final Fantasy VII Remake still has a chance to come out this year. I think we'll see one of those two. If I had to take a guess, I would say Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out first because Final Fantasy VII has been in development for less time. But at this point, who knows what they're doing with Kingdom Hearts 3? Maybe they're just doing it for fun and messing with us constantly, but we will see, guys. I'll keep you up to date on this, and hopefully we see it at E3 and they hit us with a release date. And the last bit of news, guys, is probably the most requested, the most sent to me story for Newswave, and that is about a CEO from Stardock talking about the Switch and saying, we probably won't put anything on the Switch. And I'm not really sure why people are freaking out about this because Stardock doesn't make console games anyway. Realistically, to be honest with you guys, if they had come out and said that they were supporting the Switch, I would have been shocked. I mean, Stardock is not going to release a game for the Switch anyway. They develop for the PC. They have games like Off-World Trading Company, Galactic Civilizations 3, Star Control Origins. These are all games that do not show up on consoles. So asking them if they're developing for the Switch is basically asking them to say no to a console. They could have said, are you going to develop for consoles? And they would probably say no. So this is really not even a good story, but later on in that interview, something a little more interesting, I think, over if they're supporting the Switch, kind of came up. And that's what the CEO, Brad Wardell, what he said was really interesting to me. He went ahead and said, Nintendo doesn't arguably need third party. You think about the Mario game, Zelda, I mean, there's plenty there. I mean, if it was a $1,000 game system, maybe I'd care. But as it stands now, there's plenty to play with on the Switch. That's just fine. So what he's really saying in the interview, he kind of goes on to talk about this a little further, is that Nintendo doesn't necessarily need third-party support to be successful because their IPs are so strong, is what he's trying to say. And it's a very interesting debate. Does Nintendo need third parties at all? And it really, it's a good question, really. I mean, he goes on to say, I don't know a lot of other companies other than Nintendo, specifically first party, that does well on Nintendo consoles. And again, you can argue this obviously to the end of time, but it does bring up the fact that are Nintendo's IPs, or at least the question, are their IPs strong enough to survive without third-party help? Now, you can say, yeah, the Wii U probably could have used that help, but when third-party games came out, there just wasn't an install base. People were confused about the product. There were other issues with the Wii U other than just third-party support, despite people liking to go back to that system and say, look, there was no third-party support. That's why the Wii U failed. Not 100% complete. I mean, again, that didn't help, but there were other reasons. I think the marketing was absolutely horrendous on the Wii U. Most people didn't even know what it was. Is it a tablet? Is it a console? There was a lot of other problems, like I said, and the marketing on the Switch has been top-notch at this point. I mean, Nintendo has done everything they can to paint a very clear picture. It's very similar to other devices like tablets and stuff. Not the same, obviously, but it's close enough to where you could be like, okay, I mean, I know how to use this thing. It's very similar to a tablet that has controllers and everything. That's great. It's very convenient. The Wii U was not very convenient. It just wasn't. Most people like to say, I can play without the TV on. You can't walk away from the TV, though. So there's a lot, I think there's more reason to buy the Switch and developers to develop for the Switch because there will eventually be a larger user base than the Wii U. That's obvious to us now. We'll know more on Thursday exactly how many Switches are sold, but I wouldn't worry about this whole thing with the Stardock CEO. They weren't going to develop for a console anyway. And whenever they do, it's going to be a while. They like their mouse and keyboard setups. And for whatever reason, Microsoft and Sony are not super keen on making it known you can use mouse and keyboards on the systems. And it's just not a big deal to them. So again, I would have been shocked if he said they were developing for the Switch. That would have been newsworthy. It's more what he said after that was more interesting to me, and that's about it. That's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about anything we talked about down in the comments below, whether it is about this whole Stardock CEO saying, they don't really need third-party support. They're good enough for Nintendo, and yeah, our stuff's not coming to it. Let me know what you think about the Zelda fan-made game. Are you concerned at this point, like I am, that a cease and desist is coming? If that's the case, you may want to get your hands on it now while you can. And also let me know what you think about Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out hopefully this year, but probably not. Remember, the fiscal year 2018 does technically go all the way till March 31st of next year. So technically, yes, 2018 could be a year. Maybe a February release? That would be odd. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will see you next time.